Little Piece of Magic was written by Beth Bornstein, and the first episode to really concentrate on any of the baby ponies. While some ponies were lost in the larger adventures, the babies were actually a liability both in-universe and out. However, the standalone format was perfect for looking at some of them, and the 4 featured in this episode are a good choice. I just wish they spoke proper English like they did in the specials and movie. Our episode opens with Tiddlywinks announcing she's apparently won a race to the nursery and wants to beat the others at something else. However, Half-Note wants to practice dancing, which she needs badly as she spins herself into the wall. Tiddlywinks decides on checkers, but the board is on top of a bookshelf and Baby Lofty can't fly right to save her life. Baby Ribbon is up next, but she loses her legs trying to wink up there. There's more to life than games, you know, like having frickin' limbs! Adult Ribbon and Buttons arrive. Ribbon gets the rest of Baby Ribbon's body back and winks her down. The babies want the two to play with them, but they decide to punt suggest playing make-believe. The babies are less than thrilled, but Ribbon and Buttons take them to a hill where they'll send over their favorite red ball, which can be anything they want it to be. They leave the babies as their minds begin to take over. Tiddlywinks is first and imagines the ball turning into the Ultimate Player 2 and takes her to the Ultimate Playroom. They play some ping pong and then Tiddlywinks goes through a fun maze. Needless to say, she's pleased with the ball.
Baby Tiddlywinks likes ball.
Shucks, I'm turning red.
Bad pun is bad. Back in reality, Lofty starts to think of what the ball could be. She imagines it having wings and being a flight instructor. He teaches her to fly so well she can fly in space! She then comes back to Pointland where she's honored for it. The ball is a dance instructor and concert pianist to Half-Note and makes her a famous ballet dancer. Then Baby Ribbon imagines the ball will be a good luck charm that lets her wink in and out perfectly. She becomes so good at winking she opens a school to teach non-unicorns to wink. This is the last time we'll ever see a Grundle, by the way. The babies then realize they've had all this fun despite the ball never coming over the hill. They think that there was never supposed to be a ball, but they were supposed to use their imagination. However, they had so much fun, so it was good. They sing a song and Ribbon and Buttons come to tell them that it's time for their nap. However, they don't see the ball that they sent over the hill, and it turns out they got caught in a bush to close out the episode. Little Piece of Magic was definitely a featherweight when it came to story, but that was the point. It was about using your imagination, which is illustrated well. It also uses baby ponies perfectly, as their daydreams would seem egotistical if it was done with the adults. As is, these are innocent dreams of young ponies. These 4 were also excellent choices, as each has aspirations about basically growing up. That's why I rate this as watchable. It's not a great episode by any stretch, but it does its job of being a cute conclusion to a very tense week. Mushmash Mele, written by Bruce Falk, is widely considered the best of the standalone episodes, which I agree with wholeheartedly. The biggest strength is the ponies it focuses on. Whistler, Fizzy, Gusty, and Shady are the best characterized ponies of the bunch. Yes, as much as I don't like Shady's overwhelming pessimism, I will admit she is one of the best characterized ponies on this show. The episode opens with the 4 of them playing polo.
I've never been very good at polo.
Polo is not difficult. Keeping the ball in play is a simple matter of potential energy meeting mass and being converted into kinetic energy.
Huh?
Well, when Whistler means, Shady, is just whap it with your nose.
Unfortunately, even that's too difficult as Shady trips when the ball goes by her. Then Fizzy puts the ball in a bubble so it'll float around. Whistler points out the unicorn magic against the rules, but the game is put on hold as the bubble takes the ball in the nearby woods. The 4 go after it, but soon find themselves lost. Great, now all we need is there to be some legend about a monster or a witch or whatever in here. Actually, this place is supposedly the home of a people called the Dell Dwellers. They take care of the forest, smoothing rocks and raising trees. Fizzy warns that they're dangerous when Shady accidentally causes a rock Fizzy standing on to throw her into something. It then does the same to Whistler, Gusty, and eventually Shady. They slide down a bunch of chutes into the Dell Dwellers' dell. We get some fun little bits like Gusty ending up on a conveyor belt where they hit the acorns with a small hammer, but it all ends up with the 4 crashing into a barrel marked balance, throwing it straight up into the air so it can land right down where it was, only upside down and bursts open. These things called phrases come out of Dell Dwellers' panic. This is apparently for good reason because the Dell dwellers soon start ignoring OSHA regulations. They also seem to be getting to Whistler and Fizzy as the former is rolling around laughing and the latter is swallowed a thesaurus.
This is no time for frivolity. These multicolored protoplasmic organisms are ruining the ecology of this place.
I love that line. Shady also seems to have gotten in touch with inner Tarzan, and Fizzy figures out the Freds are mixing everyone up. Unfortunately, Shady isn't interested in helping, so Fizzy has to put them back into the barrel herself. She uses her bubbles to gather them up, but it'll take time she doesn't have. She comes across Gusty hiding in a stump that should be too small to hold her, and Fizzy gets her to come out to use her wind magic to collect the Freds together. She has to find the perfect wind speed, but they get them to the barrel and Fizzy starts putting them into bubbles. Shady finally comes in and knocks them into the barrel. As for Wind Whistler, she finally gets to sing a song where she can sing solo. The thing is, Wind Whistler was presented as a singer according to her back card story, and they got a singer to provide her voice, yet she rarely got to sing solo. And the song is great even if the flute sounds a bit off. Over the course of the song, they gather up the Freds and then put the top back on the barrel. Nothing seems to happen until Fizzy realizes the barrel is still upside down. They turn it right side up and the Dell dwellers start getting things back to normal. The ponies are back to normal too, and we get a short explanation of what just happened. We also get a cute moment with Fizzy and Wind Whistler before the punchline.
I did? I mean, how did I do that? Balance? What balance? What are you talking about?
As I said, everything is back to normal.
Mushmash Mele is an excellent episode. These were the perfect points to subject to the power of the Freds, and their voice actresses did a fantastic job performing their altered states. The music was also very well placed to add to the atmosphere of the work. This is definitely a must-see episode. Between it and the Magic Coins, My Little Pony's never seen a better written week of television. The would-be Dragonslayer would mark the return of Conway and Conway and start with the pony athletic competition. Ooh, that's not a good sign. Though it does prove that episode was full of crap as Shady is in the finals for the Earth Pony jumping competition. Or when Whistler figured out she had the technology. The competition is interrupted by Spike running in and screaming for help. In that case, on a camel is trying to take swipes at him with a sword, but Wizard knocks him off his mount and Northstar throws a bag over the camel's head.
Hey, who blew out the candles?
I guess if you have a show about talking ponies, you have to have a talking camel. The Nutcase still wants to kill Spike, so he starts chasing him on foot. He traps him on a flagpole, but Masquerade knocks him down and Megan steps on his sword to get him to calm down. The Nutcase explains he's Squire Alonzo.
And I wasn't trying to hurt your dragon. I was trying to slay him.
I think you still need to hurt him to reach that point, dude. Basically, Alonzo is trying to earn a knighthood and decided doing it over Spike's dead body was the best way. Though that's because he already burned a lot of bridges in his quest, as he explains with a song. Surprisingly, Spike of all people suggests helping the guy who was just trying to kill him for personal gain a couple minutes ago.
Whose idea was this, huh?
I'm not sure, but I think it was yours.
We're helping a would-be Dragonslayer.
And again, you were the one who suggested this. They were across the castle surrounded by briars with singing coming from it.
That voice, it's so beautiful.
Either my headphones are bad or your ears are. Alonzo figures there's a princess being held captive inside, so he starts hacking away at the briars until they reach the outer wall and Galaxy finds a door. It turns out they stumbled across the way of Sir Huguenot, which means yet again Alonzo is screwed up big time. This also happens to be Huguenot's retirement party as he's ready to settle down with his bride. The wizard Moffat. Wait. Moffat? Oh, I got to have some fun with this. Anyway, Moffat is looking for a replacement who looks good in a fez. Alonzo considers the requisite headgear, but Megan suggests that they leave. Huguenot's bride also has a fairy godmother, but she's basically there to be a curmudgeon. Anyway, the group heads back to Paradise Estate. Alonzo lags behind and decides knighthood and fez wearing must not be his thing. He throws his sword away but hits an overturned turtle. The turtle's naturally grouchy for being turned over and people throwing sharp objects at him. Alonzo agrees to try to turn him over, but the giant terrapin weighs a ton. In the meantime, Alonzo's camel realizes he's gone and can move without moving his legs. Meanwhile, the terrapin turnover isn't going over so well. Alonzo's about ready to call it in, but the turtle, calling him a quitter, lights a fire under him, and he decides to employ some simple mechanics.
This is the place where we saw
Oh, what'll I do without him around?
He's such a nice guy.
Even if he tried to kill me. They find Alonzo just in time to see him use the lever to turn the turtle back over, which is actually Moffat. He wanted to test Alonzo in his past. He decides to take him back as a replacement for Huguenot, though he's going to have to learn how to tie a bow tie because they're cool and stuff. Spike, Megan, and the ponies head home to close out the episode. The Would-Be Dragonslayer is an example of an episode genuinely hurt by its shortness. Episodes like Crunch the Rock Dog and Return to Tambalon could have used more time, but this episode desperately needed it. Alonzo going from nutcase out for Spike's hide to sympathetic guest character happened way too fast. The episode also seemed to rush to its conclusion. Honestly, this is a take it or leave it. There is not much to like here.